start and be saved from the cycle of birth and death. I humbly request Her Grace Sri Rupa Mataji to lead us in chanting. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandot Pranams.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandot Pranams to all devotees. The 10 offenses to the holy name. First, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy names of the Lord. Number 2, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. Number 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Number 4, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. Number 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Number 6, to give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. Number 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Number 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda. Number 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Number 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaisnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Let us offer our humble obeisances to all the Vaisnava devotees of the Lord who are just like desired trees, who can fulfill all desires and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. गुरु महाराज की जय. निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी. हरि हरि बोल. नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा.
That was a blissful chanting, Prabhu. Hare Mataji, Hare Krishna. Very blissful. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Now, next section is Pravachana. I'll hand over the proceeds to His Grace Sri Ranga Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Mandagini Mataji. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to all the devotees. Today, we are very fortunate to have with us His Grace Maha Prabhu from Kolkata, who is the disciple of His Holiness Ratana Sai Maharaj. He is an amazing speaker, and moreover, he is one of the faculty from Mayapur Institute, taking Shastri classes for many students across the world. And moreover, many of you are the student of Prabhu. He took Bhakti Vaibhav classes before for Damodar Desh as well as Gauranga Desh Yatra devotees. And thank you so much for joining with us, Prabhu. His Grace Maharaj Prabhu ki jai. His Holiness Ratana Swami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Maharaj Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj Prabhu. We can start.
Prabhu, can you please start chanting till he comes?
Yes, Prabhu joined.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisance.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining. His Grace Maharaj Prabhu ki jai. Salanatana Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Can start.
Shall we start too?
Yes, Prabhu.
Start with the prayers. Om Jnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitanscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratse Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्याम जगन्नाथाय ते नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे Hare Krishna. First of all, I want to thank Sri Ranga Krishna Prabhu for giving me this opportunity to serve all of you in small insignificant way. And I seek blessings of all the devotees so that I can speak something for glorification of the Lord and for purification of my heart. And I would also like to thank all devotees for practicing Krishna consciousness in the middle of the desert without any temples. That's really appreciable. Because wherever I travel in India, by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, there are always temples. But I don't know how devotees practice Krishna consciousness without temples, without Harinam Sankirtan, without book distribution publicly. So that's a credit to all of you. Sri Ranga Krishna Prabhu asked me to speak from Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 5, text 23 onwards. So let's recite this shloka and then we'll discuss it. So just opening my Veda base to share the screen. This is Canto 3, Chapter 5, and text number 23. Okay, so I'll recite this shloka and maybe 2-3 devotees can recite after me. Bhagwaneka asedamagra Bhagwanekam aseda
Bhagwaneka aseda
Agra atmanamatma vibhu
Agra atmanam
Atmechhanugatavatma
Atmechhanugata atma
Nanamati upalakshanaha.
Nanamati lakshana.
Yes, now I request 3 devotees can recite this.
Bhagavan eka shedam Bhagavan eka ashedam Agra atmatmanam vibhu Agra atmatmanam vibhu Atme chanugadav atma Atmechhanugatav atma Nanamati valakshanaha Nanamati upalakshanaha Bhagavan eka ashedam
Bhagavan
Bhagavan eka ashedam
Ashedam
Agra atmatmanam vibhuha
Agragra
Atmatmanam
Atmatmanam
vibhu Atmechhanugatav atma
Atmechhanugatav
Atma Nanamati upalakshanaha
Nanamati
Nanamati
Upalakshanaha.
upalakshanaha
भगवान् एक आसेदम्
Bhagavan
Eka ashedam Ashedam
अग्र आत्मात्मनां विभुः
Agra atmatmanam vibhu
आत्मेचानुगतावात्मा
Atmechhanugatav atma
नानामति उपलक्षणः
Nanamati
Nanamati
upalakshanaha.
Yes, thank you. Could someone read the translation?
Translation.
The personality of
Translation
Godhead,
is great. Yeah.
the master of all living entities, existed prior to the creation as one without a second. It is by his will only that creation is made possible, and again everything merged in him. The Supreme Self is symptomized by different names.
Yes, thank you, bro. So this verse spoken by Maitreya Muni in response to Vidura's several questions that he had asked. Now, who is Vidura? Vidura is somebody who has lost everything by the turn of events. His fault was that he was honest and sincere well-wisher of his elder brother. And therefore, he got a reward that he was banished from his family, from his kingdom, from his home. He had to leave everything. And yet we see in the beginning of this chapter, he's asking questions about others' welfare. So you must have read this shloka, I think 6th or 7th shloka in this chapter. Sukhaya karmani karoti loko, nate sukham vanya duparamamba, vinde the bhuyas tadeva dukkham. That shloka says Vidura is concerned about welfare of others, even though he himself has undergone so much turmoil in his life, and very recently, and still is thinking about others' welfare. That's the hallmark of a pure devotee like Vidura. And he is also Yamaraj. So when he places his questions before Maitreya Muni knows that Vidura is more spiritually advanced than him. And Vidura also knows that he's spiritually more advanced than Maitreya because he's Yamaraj, one of the Mahajana. So when Maitreya is answering the questions of Vidura or begins to answer questions of Vidura, he doesn't think that he's doing a favor to Vidura. You know? So it's not that somebody who is speaking is always spiritually more advanced. In this mood, I may be sharing what I have heard from my seniors, but except that devotees are more advanced. So it's not that always speaker is more advanced than the listeners. And and another greatness of Vidura is that he is taking shelter of Maitreya Muni, who Prabhupada writes was a Gyan Mishra Bhakta, was not as advanced spiritually as Vidura himself. He is taking shelter and hearing from him just as a matter of Vaishnava etiquette. So we know this third canto, first 5 chapters. First Vidura meets Uddhava and they remember Krishna, they go in ecstasy, they cry tears. And Vidura says, tell me more about Krishna. What events have taken place in Dwaraka when I was absent? And Uddhava says, well, Krishna has left. Krishna Swadham Upagate. Krishna has gone back to his abode. But he has left some instructions for you. But I cannot tell you that because very near me is an elderly person, is a senior devotee. And the senior devotee is Maitreya Muni. You better take his shelter and listen from him what Krishna has left for you. And Vidura obeys Uddhava. He submits to Maitreya Muni and he hears Srimad Bhagavatam or the message that Krishna left for him from Maitreya Muni. So that's greatness of Vidura. We are hearing questions between such great personalities, Vidura and Maitreya. And to help, so he's asking several questions. You must have gone through this chapter, first 22 verses. And to help Maitreya decide where to begin from, Vidura also requests him to start with Purusha Avataras. I think in one of the shlokas he says, you can start answering my questions, detailing Purusha Avataras. Now, this is a very technical section, first of all, because we better hear Yashoda catching Krishna, and that's Damodar Leela. There's some fun, there are emotions, there are a ton of events. But when we hear Purusha Avataras, usually devotees may take some interest, but non-devotees, they go to sleep. Or the new people, they go to sleep. Right? But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking to Sanatana Goswami, he establishes importance of hearing activities of Purusha Avataras. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Sanatana Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 20, text number 251. In fact, Mahaprabhu quotes a shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll share the screen and we can read this. The Shruti Phala, what we attain by hearing the activities of Purusha Avataras. So I'm sharing this so that we can be more attentive, more eager to know this. So this is Madhya Leela, chapter 20, text number 251. This chapter is entitled as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatana Goswami in the science of absolute truth. So Lord Chaitanya tells Sanatana Goswami, Vishnostu trini rupani Purushakhyani atho vidu ekam tu mahata srishtre dvitiyam tu anda sansthitam tritiyam sarva bhutastham tani gyatva vimuchyate. This is an important statement. Tani gyatva vimuchyate. By knowing this, okay, when I joined 10 minutes before the class, I was saying Mataji, Shri Roop, Radha Mataji chanting so nicely. It was so inspiring. Mataji, could you read the translation to this verse?
Rupa Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Translated by
Mataji,
His Doing Grace is Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Vishnu has three forms called Purusas. The first, Mahavishnu, is the creator of the total material energy, Mahat. The second is Garbhodashai Vishnu, who is situated within each universe. And the third is Sirodasai Vishnu, who lives in the heart of every living being. He who knows these three becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So Prabhupada says that this verse appears in Lagu Bhagavatamrit, written by Sanatana Goswami. I'm sorry, Rupa Goswami, Purva Khanda 2.9, where it has been quoted from Satvata Tantra, one of the Vedic literature, Satvata Tantra. So interesting point here is that he who knows these three becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya. Or in other words, he who knows the activities of these three Vishnus becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya. So having established the importance of this Raas Leela of Purusha Avataras. The creation is also called as Raas Leela of Purusha Avataras. So Krishna performs his Raas Leela with his internal energy, and Purusha Avataras perform Raas Leela with external energy. Interesting. Now we can come back to Srimad Bhagavatam, the verses that we were discussing, third canto, chapter 5, text number 23 onwards. So in purport to text 23, Srila Prabhupada writes about how this verse defeats Mayavadi belief that creation started from something impersonal. So here, Maitre Muni says Bhagwan. Bhagwan means a person. It's not personality of Godhead. It's not something Brahman or Paramatma. It's a Bhagwan. And then Asedamagra. Asedam means he was there agra, prior to creation. That means creation sprung from him. Creation came from him. And Prabhupada says that many scholars, they screw out a wrong meaning from Chatushloki Bhagavatam. You know, we hear this similar phrase in Chatushloki Bhagavatam, first verse. Aham eva samevagre. So same thing, aham eva samevagre, and here also Bhagwan eka asedamagra. Same, almost same words. So Prabhupada says that here Bhagwan is specifically mentioned because the impersonalists, they misinterpret aham eva samevagre. In that they misinterpret aham, and they say aham means something impersonal, some light, some jyoti. Okay, now the further slokas are full of technicalities. How I usually do it is by taking help of Bhagavad Subodhini. I'll share the screen and I'll keep explaining different steps of creation. I'm sure that you must also have Bhagavad Subodhini with you. Sorry. Just 1 second. Yeah. So this process of creation, it covers 15 shlokas, text 23 to 37. And it has been very beautifully depicted in form of chart in Bhagavad Subodhini. So let's see how it takes place and let's learn some practical lessons from it. So first, Karunadakshay Vishnu, the first Purusha Avataras, he is present and he glances on something called Pradhana. What is Pradhana? Pradhana is unmanifested aggregate material elements. Okay, maybe you can note down. I will also explain this with the help of an analogy, then it will become very clear. But what is Pradhana? Pradhana is unmanifested. It's not visible, it's not manifest. Aggregate, all aggregate material elements. That's Pradhana. Okay. And Lord Karunadakshay Vishnu, or also known as Maha Vishnu, he glances on this Pradhana. Now his glance is transcendental glance. His glance is not like our glance. We know how Lord Ramchandra glanced on ocean. And what happened? It started boiling. Different aquatics started flapping. You know, if somebody claims to be God, give him a glass of water and ask him to glance on the glass of water and heat it a little bit. Then the person will fail. That's a test of God. So when Lord glances, his glance is actually Sadashiva. His glance is known as Sadashiva. And his glance carries three entities. One is the Jivas, we, the spirit souls. His glance carries Jivas, Kala, the time factor, and third, Swabhava, the nature of Jivas. These three. And his glance, as I said, his glance is Sadashiva. Therefore, Sadashiva is sometimes also known as Bhutnath, the Lord of all entities. Bhuta means all the jivas. We have in Bhagavad Gita, the conditioned jivas are called Jiva Bhuta, and the liberated jivas are called Brahma Bhuta. In Bhagavad Gita, we know from Bhagavad Gita. So Bhuta means living entities, the jivas, the souls. So he carries all these souls with him, along with their swabhava and time factor, kala. And this pradhana, as I said, it is aggregate material elements, which is Durga. The personified form is Durga. So Sadashiv meets Durga. That's the first step in creation. So because she is the presiding deity of all matter, Durga. In Bhagavad Gita, from Bhagavad Gita we know that, right? And Lord Shiva is Bhutanatha, who is carrying all the living entities and facilitating them with material bodies so that they can fulfill their material desires, which they had from previous dissolution. Now, one interesting point here is that during the dissolution, everything gets dissolved. That's dissolution, except the swabhava or the desires of the living entities. Our gross bodies or subtle bodies are finished, and we enter the body of Mahavishnu at the time of Brahmaji's death. But when we come out during the creation, in the next creation, we carry all our desires. So how dangerous the material desires is. They don't get destroyed on their own. That's one point. And they can only be transformed in the association of devotees. They cannot be destroyed by even dissolution of all the cosmos. That's interesting. And then when Mahavishnu or Karandaksha Vishnu, he glances on material nature, Pradhana turns into Mahat Tattva. Now Mahat Tattva is manifested form of all material elements. Pradhana was unmanifested. Mahat Tattva is manifested form of all material elements. Aggregate of all material elements. That's called Mahat Tattva. Okay. And then further process is very simple. Then Lord Vishnu further glances on Mahat Tattva. Then Mahat Tattva transforms into Ahankara, false ego, which is predominantly in mode of ignorance, because it makes us forget our real identity, ignorance. But it also has elements of goodness and passion. Okay. So Ahankara further, when it transforms in a mode of goodness, it gives birth to mind and 10 sense Devatas. I'll come to this later. And when Ahankara transforms in mode of passion, it gives rise to prana, 10 senses. We have 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So 10 senses and intelligence. Now this information is relevant for us, and I'll discuss this after a little while. When Ahankara transforms in mode of ignorance, then it gives birth to 5 tanmatras. Tanmatras are nothing but 5 sense objects: sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. So we have 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and for every knowledge acquiring senses, there is a sense object. For ears, there is sound. For eyes, there is form. For tongue, there is taste, so on and so forth. So these are 5 tanmatras: sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. 5 tanmatras. And also 5 material elements, also known as Panch Mahabhutas. You know this: Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, Kham. So earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Okay. Now these 10 sense Devatas, they are not the sons of Aditi and Kashyapa. This is a different set of Devatas. they manifest only in the time of creation and they become unmanifest later on. Please don't confuse them with the Indra, who is son of Aditi and Kashyapa. The Surya, who is Vivaswan, whose name is Vivaswan. No, they are not those Devatas. This is a different set of Devatas. They manifest at the time of creation, and when creation rolls down, they again become unmanifest. So for every sense, there is a sense Devata. There are 10 senses, therefore there are 10 sense Devatas. They are presiding deities of every sense. Okay, so for ear, Dig Devatas are the sense Devata. For eyes, Surya is the sense Devata. For skin, Vayu is the sense Devata. For nose, Ashwani Kumaras are the sense Devatas. So on and so forth. And this Upendra, although not sure, but most likely this Upendra is one of the demigods. He's not that Vamana Dev. It's not that one. For voice, there is Agni. For anus, there is Mitra. For genitals, there is Prajapati. And therefore, in Karma Kand section of the Vedas, in order to remediate any disease, the worship of a particular sense Devata is mentioned. For example, if somebody's eyes are not functioning properly, then they are in Karma Kanda section of Vedas, they're supposed to worship Surya, the sun god, because sun is the presiding deity of eyes. Okay. So this is how creation takes place. It is also called primary creation, Sarga. We know that there are 10 topics in Srimad Bhagavatam from second canto, 10th chapter, text number 2. It's given 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is Sarga. This is creation by Mahavishnu. Creation by Brahmaji is called Visarga. That comes in chapter 12, chapter 11, and partly in chapter 11, and also in chapter 12 in 3rd canto itself. Okay, so this is how this creation takes place. Now, what is relevant for us, what I found relevant was this point, that mind is born of goodness. When false ego reacts with goodness, what takes birth is mind. And when false ego reacts with passion, what takes birth is intelligence. So intelligence has its source in Rajoguna, passion, and mind has its source in Sattva-guna, goodness. So His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu writes in Japa book, very interesting point. He says that mind, because it has origin in mode of goodness, then mind naturally likes to be in mode of goodness. And intelligence has its origin in mode of passion. So intelligence, the function of intelligence is planning for future. Intelligence is always planning for future. So intelligence is passionate by nature and it makes plans. And mind is by nature in goodness. So what is function of intelligence? It is constantly scheming for the future and reframing the past. And we can observe it during our chanting time. So scheming for future and reframing the past, both are functions of Rajoguna. And this is how mind and intelligence interact every day. So mind has function of acceptance and rejectance, fluctuation. Mind likes something and hates something. Raga, Dvesha, Sankalpa, Vikalpa. And intelligence serves mind by making plans to satisfy the mind's fluctuations. Okay, if I hate something, then intelligence works or plans in a way how I can avoid what I hate. If I'm attached to something, if I like something, then intelligence makes plan how to get what I like. And this is how we spend our chanting time. Unfortunately. Bhujan writes here. our chanting time goes on in entertaining our raga and dvesha with the help of mind and intelligence. So intelligence is always scheming about future, making schemes and reframing the past. This is, but interesting statement here. Now Bhurijan Prabhu also supports this from Srimad Bhagavatam. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter 18, text number, one second, I'll just find out. Sorry, chapter 13, text number 9 and 10. Lord Krishna also tells, chapter 13, text number 9 and 10. Lord Krishna also tells same mechanism of mind and intelligence to Uddhava. I'll just share the screen and see that. So here, this is also a statement by Krishna. Hans Avatara. He is speaking to Brahma, and Lord Krishna is telling Uddhava. So he's saying, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Uddhava, a person bereft of intelligence, first, now this intelligence is spiritual intelligence. We are not talking about this intelligence. We're talking about material intelligence. So he says here, my dear Uddhava, a person bereft of intelligence first falsely identifies himself with the material body and mind. That is function of false ego, false identification. When such false knowledge arises within one's consciousness, material passion, the cause of great suffering, pervades the mind, which is by nature situated in goodness. So mind likes to be in goodness, and by nature, mind is situated in goodness. That's the point Bhurijan Prabhu makes here. But when it associates with material passion, how it associates? With the help of intelligence. So then what happens to mind? Then the mind, contaminated by passion, becomes absorbed in making and changing many plans for material advancement. Right? So mind becomes engaged by intelligence. How? By reframing the past and scheming the future, planning for the future. And this is happening when we are doing something as important as chanting of the holy names, the most important activity of the day, chanting of the holy names. And therefore, what is the result? Krishna says, by constantly thinking of modes of material nature, a foolish person is afflicted with unbearable material desires. This is how we spoil our chanting, or we can see this is the hint how we can improve our chanting. So how can we improve our chanting? By again bringing back our mind in mode of goodness. How can we do this? Bhurijan Prabhu says very simple. Because mind is simple entity. People in mode of goodness are simple. So therefore mind likes to be given a simple task. If mind is given a very simple task, it can become absorbed in it and be resituated in its origin, mode of goodness, sattva guna. Like we see now when we travel in buses or cars, we see many billboards. Of course, devotees should not see billboards because, especially in Calcutta, I don't know about West, I don't know about Gulf countries, but in Kolkata, billboards are very nasty. But still, just an observation, our mind becomes attracted to billboards which are simple. See a billboard which has a lot of information, we don't desire to even read it. But see the billboard which are simple, like Airtel. Only word written there is Airtel. Simple. And mind becomes attached to it, attracted to it. Mind becomes attracted to simple things, isn't it? Like we are discussing this chart from Bhagavad Subodhini. If I were to discuss verses one after another and go into deep technicalities, then our mind would become tired. Mind would say, forget it. I'm not going to absorb this information. Isn't it? Happens with all of us. But if we explain in simplified terms, mind can become absorbed in it. Similarly, Bhujan says that mind likes to be given simple task. And if mind is given simple task, it can be resituated back in its origin, the mode of goodness, Sattva Guna. So therefore he says, give mind a very simple task. What is a simple task? The simplest task is just hear the holy name which is on your tongue. Don't think about future. Don't chant good rounds, Bhuri Janpu says. Don't chant good rounds. Don't chant 10 good mantras. Don't attempt that. Just attempt to chant and hear one mantra at a time. And which mantra? The mantra that is on the tongue. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And we need not think about how we are going to chant future mantras or how we have, messed up our chanting so far, the previous mantras. We can simply concentrate, focus on the mantra in the present. In the present, that mantra we have on our tongue. So Bhujan Prabhu says, what can we do about the mantras that we have not heard in the past, that we have not given attention to in the past? But we have some choice. We have choice to hear or not hear the mantra that is present on the tongue right now. Now, why should we hear the mantras that we are chanting? Prabhupada writes in the Canto 7, chapter number 9, in text number 40. Okay. Prabhupada says a very nice statement, very inspiring statement. Prabhupada says here, you see, the only method of controlling the senses, and of course when Prabhupada says senses, it also means mind. The only method of controlling the senses is to chant and hear the holy name of the Lord. Otherwise, one will always be disturbed. Just as a householder with more than one wife would be disturbed by them for sense gratification. For a practical example, if one has more than one wife, one will be disturbed. So how many of us want to live a disturbed day? How many of us want to spend a disturbed day? Day full of disturbances. No one, right? None of us. We want our mind and senses be controlled so that we can engage them in a desirable way, in a productive way, in Krishna's service, in devotee's service. Right? So therefore, Prabhupada says the only method of controlling the senses is to chant and hear the holy name of the Lord. And therefore, we are discussing this subject, that we cannot chant and hear one round. We cannot chant and hear 10 mantras, not even 2 mantras. We can only chant and hear one mantra. The mantra in the present, not about past, not about future. So Bhujan Prabhu says, even if you have messed up all your mantras, all your 15 rounds and 107 mantras, don't worry about it. Whatever has happened in the past. Just chant and hear this present mantra, the mantra on your tongue. That means your last mantra of the 16th round. Just chant and hear that, because that's all we can do. We cannot re-chant our unheard mantras of the past. We cannot. We don't have control over future. We don't know what is going to happen in future. So be in present and chant and hear just one mantra. And by this, we find, all of us have this experience, right? When we chant well in the morning hours, Brahma Muhurta, we are energized to face the challenges in the daytime. And when our morning program, our chanting is full of distractions, full of disturbances, then we become easily irritated in daytime while dealing with day-to-day challenges. That happens with everyone. Right? So therefore, Prabhupada is giving us a hint how to control the senses, how to control the anger. Pacho Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam. That's the first instruction of Rupa Goswami. And this is how we can do it. And Prabhupada says this is the only method. Of course, there are also secondary methods, but Prabhupada doesn't entertain them. Prabhupada is after all Acharya of Bhakti Yoga. He doesn't talk about pranayama and asanas. They also help control the senses, but nothing like chanting of the holy names. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam. Kalau naste vanaste vanaste vagatiranyatha. Okay, so this is what I wanted to speak about creation, mind, origin of mind and origin of intelligence. So remember that mind always likes to be in mode of goodness, provided we give it a very simple task of hearing the mantra that is on the tongue. Then we can experience. Actually, what I am speaking is can be experienced by anyone. Anyone who is sincerely wants to chant can experience this. I mean, in positive way and also in negative way. One day we chant well, we can experience how our vegas, our urges are under control. And one day when we don't chant well, we become disturbed with little stimulus, small problems. We become disturbed. Okay, now these Devatas appear and they offer many, many prayers to Lord Mahavishnu. Sorry. And that takes us further. So I'm skipping few verses because we have heard them in summary from Bhagavad Subodhini. Text 23 to 37, 15 verses we have heard in summary. Okay, and then maybe one more point I can explain. Another technical point here is that all these material elements have features in their progressive order. What I mean to say here is that the ether has only one feature, that is sound. Like this is ether. Ether means space. So there is space between my hands, and when I press this, there is sound. So ether has only one feature, sound. Ether cannot be seen. Ether has no form. Ether has no taste. Ether has no smell, no odor. Right? And then when ether transforms into air, this is progressive creation. When ether further transforms into air, air has two features. Air has sound, and air also has sense of touch. We can touch air. Right? That's why we use fans. Fans throw air that touch our body and relieves us from sweating. So that's air has sound and touch. Ether has only sound. Fire has not only sound and touch, but fire also has form. Air doesn't have form. Ether doesn't have form. But fire has sound. When we burn fire, there is sound. Sound in the flames. And fire can be touched. Fire also has form. Water has sound, touch, form, and also taste. We can taste water. In fact, Krishna says, Raso ham apsu kante. I am the taste of water. Krishna is the taste of water. Besides taste, water also has form, touch, and sound. And earth not only has taste, form, sound, and touch, but earth also has smell. You can smell earth. You may say water also has smell. Yes, water has smell when we add some impurity in it. Pure water doesn't have smell. Earth has smell, earth has taste, earth has form, earth has touch, earth has sound. All the 5 features. Okay. So this is also covered in 2nd Canto, chapter 5. Maybe you must have heard this during your Bhagavatam discussion. Now we move to prayers by the Devatas. And this is text number 39. I'll just open this from my database. 3, 5, 37. That is 39. 3, 5, 39. So maybe in the time that we have, we can take one or two prayers by Devatas. They're very nice prayers. These are not just universal Devatas, they are cosmic Devatas. They've manifested even before the cosmos has manifested. They are highly realized. Their prayers are very meaningful and very relevant for us. So let's see what they say. Text number 39. I'll recite the shloka and then some devotee can read the translation. Deva uchuhu namamate deva padara vindam prapanna tapo pashamata patram yanmulaketa yatayonja soru sansara dukkham bahirutchipanti. Yes, please read.
Translation purport by Divine Grace A.Z. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The demigods said, O Lord, your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered souls, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And so demigods here say that if one wants to become free from miseries, there are many methods that people adopt. But these are highly realized Devatas, the cosmic Devatas. They know there is only one solution to material miseries. What's that? Throw off all material miseries and take shelter under the umbrella of the lotus feet of the Lord. Now this is very interesting. Also that we say Kali dosho nidhi rajan. Kali Yuga is full of fault, full of problems, full of sufferings. And Kali Yuga can be also compared to rainfall. Rain of all sufferings, problems, miseries. But there is one good quality in Kali Yuga. What is that? Kirtana Deva Krishnasya Mukta Sanga Param Prajet. We know this. So we cannot stop the rains. The Kali Yuga will go as it has been destined. But we can take an umbrella. We can take an umbrella and protect ourselves. And what is that umbrella? That's the lotus feet of the Lord. Figuratively, it is the lotus feet of the Lord. But more practically and applicably, it is the holy names of the Lord. Because in Kali Yuga, Hare Naam, Hare Naam, Hare Naam. So we can take shelter of the holy name of the Lord, which is same as taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, or umbrella like lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, Prabhupada talks in the purport how impersonalists, they cannot have this opportunity. They cannot get shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. Why? Because they don't believe in the personal form of the Lord. They can't perform bhakti. They are deprived of bhakti. And therefore they inevitably fall down. Let's come to text number 40. Dhataryadasmin bhava isha jivas tapatrayena bhitana sharma atman labhante bhagavastavangri chaya savidya mata ashrayena. Yes, please.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. O Father, O Lord, O Personality of Godhead, the living entities in the material world can never have any happiness because they are overwhelmed by the three kinds of miseries. Therefore, they take shelter of the sides of your lotus feet, which are full of knowledge, and we also thus take shelter of them.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, so Acharyas say that this is not some poem. It is reality. It is reality that living entities in the material world can never have any happiness. See, this is just beginning of creation. Creation in its beginning phase. And material world has no happiness Even in creation, there is no element happiness added in the creation itself. Like, if you make a chutney, I know most devotees have tasted chutney in India. If you don't add sugar in the chutney, how can you expect chutney to be sweet? If you add chili powder in the chutney will be very pungent, unbearably pungent if you add chili, because that's how the chutney is composed. Similarly, the material world is so composed, and these demigods know, they're cosmic demigods. They say that there is no happiness even in the creation, then what to speak of in experience. Now one may say, yes, there is happiness. I experience happiness. If you ask a non-devotee, they'll say, what are you saying? Are you crazy or what? There's so much happiness in material world. So Prabhupada answers this in the purport. I'll share. And this is like first paragraph, last two sentences. Prabhupada says, one's happiness in material world is nothing but a hard struggle to get free from the miseries of conditional life. One devotee was sharing, he was in Bombay and he boarded a very crowded local. Bombay, how locals are very crowded. So in the beginning, he was like in a yogic posture, which he never desired. He was standing like in a yogic posture. And he was being crushed from all directions. And he said that was a free body massage. But I was hoping for a puff of air. He was a short devotee, not a very tall devotee. He was surrounded by people from all directions, and he was finding difficulty in breathing. So after a few stops, some people deboarded the train, and then he had puff of air. Said, oh, now I'm happy because I can breathe oxygen. I get oxygen. But by then his legs were paining, and he was then hoping to get a seat. Crowded train, how can you expect a seat? But by this time he was near a seat, and the seat is meant for 3 persons, but inevitably 4 persons sit there. If you have experience of traveling in locals, so 4 persons were sitting, and one of them left. His destination came. So this Prabhuji, he could place one of his thigh, one of his hip, and half of his body was hanging, but still he felt relief. Now I'm happy because I got seat. I got some seat, some place to rest my hip and my leg. At least now my legs are not paining. And then he was now hoping to get a seat near window, because near window you get nice air, fresh air, and you can also look at scenery. So after a few stops, so he was gradually shifting towards the window. One by one, these persons were leaving the train. Next to him, the person sitting next to him were leaving the train, and he was coming closer and closer and closer to window. By the time he got window seat, his destination came. So he was sharing that this is the happiness in material world. We just become free from some suffering, we take it to be happiness. I have personal experience. When we were in college, exam was a great anxiety, and after exam we would celebrate as if we have attained Vaikuntha. But it was just mitigation of suffering, and that is too only for a short while, because exams come again. Right? And in life also exams keep coming over and over again. So therefore these wise demigods are asking us to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. And Prabhupada says one's happiness is nothing but a hard struggle to get free from the miseries of conditional life. That's happiness. So now I can give many examples, but needless to go in these details. Everyone has that experience. And then Prabhupada says, but there is only one way he can be rescued, and that is by accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, then we move to next shloka. And you can read all these purports on your own. I'm not going through them. Text number 41. Maybe this is last shloka we take. Margantiyatte mukhapadma nide chanda suparne rishayo vivikte yasyagamarsho saridvaraya padam padam tirtha padam tapanna. This was our memorization shloka when I was doing Bhakti Vaibhav. Very sweet shloka. Could some devotee read the translation?
Translation by His Divine Grace Sabesharananda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The lotus feet of Lord are by themselves the shelter of all places of pilgrimage. The great clear-minded sages, carried by the wings of the Vedas, always search after the nest of your lotus-like face. Some of them surrender to your lotus feet by every step, by taking shelter of the hest of the rivers, the Ganges, which can deliver one from all sinful reactions. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, so Acharya's comment, there are two terms here, Mukha Padma. Mukha Padma means lotus face. And then there is Tirtha Pada. Tirtha Pada here means one whose lotus feet are as good as place of pilgrimage. That means lotus feet. Tirtha Pada here means lotus feet, and Mukha Padma here means lotus face. Right? So Acharya's comment that this lotus face is for devotees who are following Raga Marga or spontaneous devotional service. What is their feature? What is their characteristics? They are clear-minded. That means they have performed so much devotional service that their minds have become now purified, totally purified. So which means we cannot aspire for lotus face of Lord unless our minds are clear, unless we come to the stage of Raga Marga, unless we are totally purified. That stage is technically called Nishtha, after Anartha Nivritti. So when we are cleared of all anarthas, we come to stage of Nishtha, and then we can aspire for lotus face of the Lord. Or in other words, spontaneous love for Krishna, spontaneous attraction for Krishna, Raga Bhakti, Raga Marg. And who are Sahajiyas? Sahajiyas are those who are impure in mind, and yet they always talk about the face of the Lord, always talk about esoteric pastimes of the Lord, Krishna's pastime with the gopis or Krishna's face. Vrindavan mein dolo, Radhe Radhe bolo. But for those who are not yet purified, there is Tirtha Pada. That means lotus feet of the Lord. And what is advice for them? For them, he says, Maitre Muni says, some of them surrender to your lotus feet at every step by taking shelter of best of the rivers, which can deliver one from all sinful reactions. So to those of us, I'm talking about myself, because we are not free from sinful reactions, therefore we take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. How? By taking shelter of the river Ganges, by bathing in Mother Ganges. So Prabhupada writes in 7th canto that taking bath in Ganges is Pada Sevanam. It's serving the lotus feet of the Lord. And Prabhupada also writes here in the purport that there are 5 sacred rivers on the earth. They are Ganges, Yamuna, Godavari, Narmada, and Kaveri. So Mahaprabhu played in Ganges. Krishna played in Yamuna. Mahaprabhu met Ramanand Rai at the bank of Godavari. And Narmada flows in Madhya Pradesh. Kaveri also flows in somewhere South India. Purpose is, but the Ganges is the most sacred. So I take this opportunity to invite devotees. Kolkata is also a place of Ganges. From the place where I stay, it's about 5 or 6 kilometers. And Prabhupada birthplace, we have renovated Srila Prabhupada birthplace now. It's about only 2 kilometers from where I stay. So devotees can, whenever you visit India, please visit Prabhupada birthplace. We have also renovated Ulta Danga Junction Road, where Srila Prabhupada met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for the first time. It's a very beautiful place, very sacred place. Okay, so Prabhupada says, the river Ganges and Bhagavad Gita are the chief sources of transcendental happiness for mankind. And intelligent persons must take shelter of them to go back home, back to Godhead. Even Sripad Shankaracharya recommends that a little knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, even if one doesn't know entire Bhagavad Gita, one doesn't know flow of all the shlokas, even a little knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and drinking of little quantity of Ganges water can save one from the punishment of Yamaraj. Interesting, isn't it? So we should keep Ganges water at our home and give people, because by that they can be saved from seeing Yamaraj, even if they don't become devotees. Of course, devotees don't have to fear punishment from Yamaraj, but for non-devotees. Okay, so it's time up for me. What is your order, Sri Ranga Krishna Prabhu?
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for the wonderful and nectarian class today. And moreover, you explained in such a very simple and an understandable way. Thank you so much. If there is any questions, please unmute yourself. You have time for a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes, Prabhu?
I have plenty of time, Prabhu.
Okay. If there is any questions, please unmute yourself and you can ask.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danda Pranams. Swarna Gobalada. As Sanga Prabhuji said, it's very, very ascetic pravachan. It's a simple layman language, which I hope every one of the listeners released today's session. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's not specific to today's topic, but as a part of your discussion about the chanting of the holy names, telling mind is so simple. It wish to accept symbolized sectors, like to hear only the present mantra. And you give us hope that forget about the past and the future. That's very nice of you. So how do we continue that toward the chanting session, Prabhuji? Can you please enlighten a few words about it?
Yeah, good question, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Because I have also faced this challenge. We try to concentrate on the mantra in the present, but then again we get memories of past and worries of future, and we get distracted. So therefore, we need to remind ourselves again and again. Some devotees also help themselves by writing in front of them. They write. Some devotees write, let everything else wait. Some devotees write, concentrate on this, and they write this with capital letters. Concentrate on this mantra. So we need to form a sankalpa, a kind of resolution, internal resolution to ourselves. I am going to listen to this mantra, no matter how I have performed in the past, no matter how I am going to perform in the future. So we need to remind ourselves. And this can also, what can help us in this regard is also chanting with devotees. Because as I said today, Shri Rupa Radha Mataji, how nicely she was chanting, I was inspired by that. So when we come in association of devotees and chant, the importance of chanting is reinforced on us. So nowadays there are so many Zoom groups where devotees come together and chant. Best is that we physically come in association of devotees and chant. So importance of chanting is reinforced on us. We are reminded of the value of chanting, the most important limb of bhakti in Krishna consciousness. Okay, Suvarna Gopal, does that help?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you. Very enlightening. Thank you.
Yes, Deepali, Pandava.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes,
Humble
Mataji, please.
Thank you for the wonderful, insightful class. My question is same related to the chanting. So, is it not a correct practice to, as you said, our mind gets drifted when we are chanting? Uh, there is a dvandva going between the mind and intelligence, and we get drifted away. So, is it not a correct practice to, when we get alert, aware of the fact that we have got drifted away, to redo the round or again chant with the focus? Is it not a correct practice?
Correct. Yes. That's what Krishna also recommends Arjuna. No? Yato yato nischalti mana chanchalam astaram tato tatam niyamasthaya. Niyamasthaya means again regulate the mind, bring it back. So we have to very gently bring the mind back. Gurujan also says that mind is like a child. Your mother, children, especially young children, they're restless. They want to go anywhere. They want to touch everything. But a mother or father's duty is to bring them back and keep them away from dangers, bring them back again. But we don't bring the child back angrily with frustration. Well, that's the nature of child. Child is restless by nature. We bring the child back again with love and affection, with a sense of care and concern. Similarly, we also bring the mind back gently, not becoming frustrated with the mind, knowing that that's the nature of mind. Mind is designed like that. But if we do this, Gurujan says that mind will gradually become calm. Mind will become calm and will experience transcendence. We'll have transcendental experience. So he says, even if you can't hear one mantra, the present mantra, try to hear first half of the mantra, at least one Hare, first Hare of every mantra, or one Krishna or one Rama. By that, bring the mind back again to its simple task of hearing one mantra.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Kavi Roop Radhika.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. The pravachan very, very nice Prabhuji. Reboard. Prabhuji, just wanted to one question. Like you are just referring, talking so much about the material sufferings and anxieties and everything, but we are just unable to give up. We think, okay, we have to do this, then only we are able to surrender to the Lord, because the mood of like, okay, Krishna will take care of it. That kind of a look, like we are chanting, we are understanding, we are having faith, but we are unable to give up, and we think we are putting lot of efforts for that, and we are just thinking about it. In the morning also when we chant, we just think what to do list for the day. So how that mood to bring up, like, okay, we have to do what we can, and then we can leave it rest of the things to Krishna, because without we putting endeavor, nothing is going to happen. We have to put some effort, we have to do this parallelly as well. So how we can get that understanding?
Same here, Mataji. I am not different from you in this aspect. I also struggle with my own conditionings similarly, just as you do. We are on the same boat. But how I convince myself is, I'll share one simple tip which helps me and can also help you. See, when we are chanting, so today, let's say today is 24th of April. So today, on 24th of April, I am a little more pure after completing my 16 rounds than I was before my chanting, isn't it? My chanting of 16 rounds will bring some purification, little purification. I may not become pure devotee in one day, but some little bit purification. So how I convince myself is that if I have some ideas, some plans, some to-do list, I am a counselor. I guide many devotees. So many ideas come up. This is what I can tell this devotees. This is how I will guide this devotee. But then I think if I complete my rounds, my mind will become more purified. My intelligence will become a little more sharper. And I'll be in a better position to take decisions after completing my round. So let me keep those issues aside and concentrate on my chanting. At least for these 2 hours. I have my 22 hours to prove myself. At least for these 2 hours, let me keep them aside. Let me give Krishna the reins of my chariot. Just as Arjuna gave the reins of his chariot to Krishna. Let me give reins of my chariot for these 2 hours to Krishna. And by Krishna's mercy, if Krishna wants something to be done through me, then he'll give me better intelligence. He'll give me better ideas after my chanting. So this helps me, but I honestly admit not all the time. We can practice this.
Hari Bol. Really wonderful, Prabhuji. That I have understood. Like, okay, this very key point, Prabhuji. Okay, now I will chant. Okay, later see whether we can solve that issues. Let's focus on that. Mood should bring it. Then you can think of like, okay, you can whatever happens, it is Krishna's willing and everything. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hari Bol. Hari.
Point is that after surrendering to Krishna, you will be in a better position to deal with the issues that are concerning you now. So surrender to Krishna for those 2 hours and then see what happens.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Any other questions or comments? You can also comment. It's not that I am more advanced than you. You can also give some room for improvement, some corrections, some comments. Sri Rangakrishna Prabhu, would you like to give some comments? I mean, something to improve.
See, devotees are always telling that you are already experienced and you are a wonderful preacher, faculty from Srila Mayapur Institute, you know how to teach. But the way you explained, definitely it was really enlightening for all of us actually.
Nothing
So,
more bad.
nothing, yeah. So you are more experienced in way of associating with the devotees and guidance and moreover.
Actually, you have counseled us very nicely. Thank you, Prabhu.
Please bless me that I can be of some use to devotees.
Sure, Prabhu. Definitely we are waiting for
We
to
are
come and
praying
meet
this
you
for-
in person. Thank you,
I'm inviting all the devotees to Kolkata.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Going to Srila Mayapur, passing through Kolkata will be. Definitely we will. Yes, Dineshwar Prabhu. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Tanut Pranam Prabhu. Thank you very much Prabhu for very enlightening, as Prabhu said and everybody is saying. It's very crystal clear, just like a technical engineer explains his subordinates how this machine works. In that way you have explained very wonderful way. Thank you very much. Prabhu, my kind request question is that we are following the process as explained and put out by Srila Prabhupada and everybody. So when we are following it, then the thought comes that whatever I am doing is not as pure, as good like other Prabhus are doing. They are doing in a very nice way. So maybe Krishna is not accepting whatever I am offering. So then this point comes that I may not be able to remember Krishna while leaving this body. Then again the point comes that I will not be successful in this life. So how to get confidence that one day definitely Krishna will hear my prayer and Krishna will definitely look at me. Though I am insignificant, definitely I am totally. So that is my question, Prabhu. I hope you understand it. Maybe I'm not.
Hey, thank you, Prabhu. Your words are enlivening me. It's not just a question, but it also carries your consciousness, which I would say is an advanced consciousness. Because to feel oneself unqualified is actually a symptom of an advanced devotee. So it's a very conducive, very favorable thought to think that all devotees are doing better than me. I am duffer. I need to improve in my Krishna consciousness. That's perfect. I mean, that is desirable. Even I would aspire to do that. But additionally, we should also have faith in Krishna. Additionally, we should also believe that what I cannot do myself, first we must believe that we cannot do. But additionally, we should also believe that what I cannot do myself, spiritual master can do, Krishna can do. So I am a duffer, but their mercy can only carry me. In fact, one would think I am doing well, wonderful in Krishna consciousness. And by my chanting, by my sadhana, I'll go back to Godhead. That person is not going back to Godhead. That's the wrong understanding. The perfect understanding is what you have explained just now. I am not qualified. What will I do? I am not pleasing Krishna enough. I am not pleasing Guru enough. And with this consciousness, we carry on instructions of spiritual master. By their mercy, by mercy of Guru, by mercy of Krishna, they will take us back to Godhead. So now you add another factor in this, right? But that by their mercy, by their compassion, I'll become qualified. Personally, I don't have any qualification. That's perfect, Prabhu. You are way ahead of me. I am yet to come to where you are. Very good.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you so much.
One more question, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Please, Prabhu, please. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Danda Pranam. Prabhu, this PowerPoint you shown for the Bhagavatam Subodhini, the mind, intelligence, and this Pradhana and all. So I was thinking that so much ignorance because this body is totally dead, and because even the vegetables or whatever we are keeping in the refrigerator, it is within few days. If you are not taking it, even that become unusable. We have to throw it. So this body is so dirty, and keep it fresh by the presence of the soul and super soul. So, but our pursuits are often on the material pursuits or future planning or so many things. We don't seriously think that my death is very close. I don't know where we'll be. So this seriousness is not coming. And whatever our sadhana, the seriousness, it is still not coming. But when we go through this particular PowerPoint, how these dirty things and the mind all become so much dirty, and how Krishna is given, and how the devotees are giving very, very elusively these explanations. But in spite of hearing so many things, still the mind is not coming into focusing our real goal. Again, it is going very struggling this sort of seriousness.
Yes. You want me to comment on what you said? Or it's
I don't know how to overcome, because we are hearing this all nectarian informations, how dirty things, we are completely in a dead machine. We are sitting in a machine, and the seriousness of our real Suruba, the Jivera, Surubera, Keshara, Nityadas. But if we are serving against all this, our real nature, but that is not awakening in spite of so many informations, and we are hearing again and again. And our real pursuits are for I am thinking that my family, my wife, my kids, like that only the consciousness is become there.
That's true, Prabhu. I am also undergoing the same problems as you. But I have sincere belief that if we go on struggling, as you said, I am struggling. So Srila Prabhupada said, if you are struggling, you are winning. The problem is when we give up struggle. So if you are struggling, that means you are doing well. Keep on struggling. Krishna consciousness is declaring war against Maya. And Maya is very powerful. We can't overcome on our own. So I have sincere belief that yes, we go on struggling like this. And when Guru and Krishna become pleased with us, they'll free us from the ignorance, as you said. See, we have been under the cover of ignorance for millions of lifetimes not our life, millions of lifetimes of Brahmaji. Brahmaji has huge lifespan, and we have been in this material world for millions and trillions of Brahmaji's lifetimes. So we can't expect that the ignorance will be removed, mitigated in 10 years, 15 years, a few years of chanting. It will take some time, definitely, but it will be removed. And we get this confidence when we come in association of devotees, hear from devotees, and we see devotees similarly struggling like ourselves. So we get courage, we get confidence, and we carry on with that struggle. One day, Krishna will free me from material bondage. Otherwise, your realization is perfect that yes, we are bound materially, and we are supposed to struggle to come out of it. Struggle through devotional service, hoping and aspiring blessings of spiritual master and Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
My name is Prabhu Saramandas. Prabhu, when I reading that Hare Krishna challenge, I think you know that conversation going for Dr. Benford and Srila Prabhupada. There, that Prabhupada saying, we are not purified, but our preach is purified. So I'm little confused. Can you explain, Prabhu?
Excuse me. Please repeat again, Prabhu. I am not purified.
We are not purified, but our preaching is purified.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got your point. Yeah, Prabhupada wants to say that I am not perfect, but what I am giving is perfect. So Prabhupada would never claim himself to be a perfect person. But Prabhupada said, since I am repeating the message of a perfect person, what I am giving is perfect. My spiritual master was a perfect person. His spiritual master was a perfect person. And if we go back, then Krishna is a perfect person. So if we are simply repeating the message of Krishna, our message is perfect. I am a dumb fool, lazy, duffer, whatever you call. But what I am giving is perfect because I am simply repeating what I have heard from my spiritual master and what spiritual master heard from his spiritual master and all the way back to Krishna. We are simply repeating messages of Krishna. Krishna is free from any impurity, any faults, any shortcoming. Krishna is a perfect person. He's God himself.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
For joining. Hare Krishna. His Grace Maharaj Prabhu ki
Jai.
His Holy Radhana Raj ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai. Premanande. Hare Hare Bol. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Over to Mandakini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam. Now let's move on to Kirtan session. Kirtan cleanses our heart and brings us closer to the God. Now let's listen the Kirtan by Bhakta Narendra. Hare Krishna, Bhakta Narendra, over to you.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharya Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Vishwatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasudi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
श्री श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, Thy God Prabhu.
Hari Bol. That was an amazing performance. Thank you, His Grace Naresh Chaitanya Das Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Once again, I would like to thank His Grace Sri Ranga Krishna Prabhuji and Her Grace Gopigana Gita Mataji for giving me this seva to serve Guru and Gauranga. And now I shall hand over the proceeds to Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for taking up the service. Hare Krishna. Now we have a few announcements. Just a second. So we have a few announcements before we close the programs today. So we need a prayer request from all the devotees for the good health